In today's video, we'll be focusing on sentence organization and paragraph structure. Specifically, we'll cover 4 key principles that help make a paragraph effective: unity, completeness, coherence, and order. Let's get right into it. We'll start with unity. When we say unity in a paragraph, we mean that all the sentences in the paragraph stick to one main idea. Every sentence should relate back to the topic of the paragraph, whatever that may be. If a sentence drifts off into an unrelated idea, it breaks the unity and makes the paragraph feel scattered. For example, let's take a look at a paragraph with poor unity. My favorite hobby is gardening. I love growing tomatoes and herbs in the summer. My dog gets very excited whenever we go to the park. Last year, I learned how to compost to make my soil healthier. Notice how the third sentence, my dog gets very excited whenever we go to the park, doesn't fit? The paragraph started out being about gardening, but suddenly shifted to talking about the dog at the park. That breaks the unity. A better version would keep the focus on gardening. My favorite hobby is gardening. I love growing tomatoes and herbs in the summer. Last year, I learned how to compost to make my soil healthier. Working in the garden helps me relax after a long day. Now we see mention of gardening, growing tomatoes, composting, and working in the garden. Every sentence connects back to the main topic of gardening. Not every example of a unity error in a paragraph is so obvious. Take the following paragraph as an example. Regular exercise offers many benefits. It improves the cardiovascular health and boosts mood by releasing endorphins. Getting enough sleep each night is also essential for maintaining focus. Exercise can also increase energy levels and reduce stress. Our first sentence brings up exercise, leading us to believe that this will be the topic of the paragraph. However, the third sentence suddenly brings up sleep. Here, although exercise and sleep are both related to health in general, the topic of the paragraph isn't health, it's exercise. Bringing up getting a good night's sleep shifts the focus from exercise, which is the main idea of this paragraph. If we wanted to bring up sleep, we might say something like, getting enough sleep each night is also essential for maintaining enough energy to exercise properly. Now, let's talk about completeness. A complete paragraph doesn't leave the reader hanging. It fully explains the idea it introduces. Most complete paragraphs have at least 3 parts: a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and often a concluding sentence. The topic sentence, just as it sounds, introduces the topic of the paragraph. It sets up our expectations for the paragraph. What are we going to be hearing about? For example, if a paragraph begins with the sentence, "There are many different uses for garlic," we can expect to read about a few of these different uses in the paragraph. These are the topic sentence's supporting ideas. If the supporting ideas don't actually support the topic sentence, the paragraph does not have completeness. In addition, every paragraph also needs some sort of conclusion. This isn't to say that the concluding sentence needs to summarize every point that was brought up in the paragraph, but it needs to be strong enough that the reader realizes that the paragraph is over and will be moving on to another idea, even if it's only slightly different from the one we just read about in the previous paragraph. Let's take a look at some examples. Here's an example of an incomplete paragraph. There are many different uses for garlic. In cooking, it adds to a wide variety of dishes. It can be added to soups as well. Here's why this would be considered incomplete. We're told in the topic sentence that we'll hear about many different uses for garlic. However, we only end up hearing of 2, and more than that, these 2 uses are very similar. They're both related to cooking. In addition, there's no concluding sentence, leaving this paragraph feeling open-ended and hanging. Let's look at a more developed version. There are many different uses for garlic. In cooking, it adds flavor to a wide variety of dishes. Many people also roast whole garlic cloves to create a spread for bread. Beyond the kitchen, garlic has been used in traditional medicine for centuries, often believed to help fight colds. Some even plant garlic in their gardens to repel pests. Whether used for taste, health benefits, or gardening, garlic remains one of the most versatile ingredients around. Now the paragraph feels developed and complete. It makes good on its topic sentence, and we actually do see multiple uses for garlic, whether in cooking, medicine, or gardening. It also provides us with a conclusion, wrapping up our paragraph and touching once more on the idea that our topic sentence brought up, the versatility of garlic. Let's now move on to coherence. Coherence means that the sentences in a paragraph flow smoothly from one to the next. The ideas are presented in a logical order, and the reader can easily follow the writer's train of thought from one point to the next. One way to achieve coherence is by using transition words or phrases to connect ideas. Words like first, next, in addition, however, for example, and as a result help guide the reader from sentence to sentence by telling them exactly what they can expect. For example, if you see the words first of all, you know that what you're going to be reading is the first in a list of points. If you see however, you know you're going to be introduced to a contrasting idea. If you see as a result, you know you're going to see some form of cause and effect, and so on and so forth. Compare these two paragraphs. Learning a language can be challenging. The vocabulary lists are long. Grammar rules can be confusing at first. While there's nothing inherently wrong with this paragraph so far, it can be improved by utilizing transition words. Let's take a look at the updated version. Learning a new language can be challenging. First, there are long vocabulary lists to memorize. Next, grammar rules can be confusing at first. However, with practice and patience, language learning becomes easier and more rewarding. Notice how the ideas now build on one another, and the transition words help guide the reader through the paragraph. They're like road signs, telling us exactly what we're going to be seeing ahead, and making it easier to understand the flow of the paragraph. And the final concept is order. Order refers to the way information is arranged within the paragraph. The most common types of order are chronological order, order of importance, and logical grouping. For example, if you're writing about the steps to bake a cake, you'd use chronological order, meaning following the natural flow of time. First, gather all your ingredients. Next, mix the dry and wet ingredients separately. Then, combine them and pour the batter into a pan. Finally, bake the cake for 30 minutes. If you're writing a persuasive paragraph, you might organize your points from least important to most important, or vice versa. One reason to recycle is to reduce waste and landfills. A more important reason is to conserve natural resources. Most importantly, recycling helps combat climate change by lowering greenhouse gas emissions. Or you might group similar ideas together in a single sentence for clarity. Dogs make great pets because they are loyal, easy to train, and good with children. Here, the similar ideas are placed one after the other in a single sentence. And that wraps up our review of sentence organization and paragraph structure. To recap, we discussed writing a paragraph with unity, it stays on topic, completeness, it fully develops the idea, coherence, the sentences flow logically, and order, the ideas are arranged in a way that makes sense. We also touched on how using transition words helps to guide your reader and makes your writing easier to follow. Make sure to watch the other videos in the series for a comprehensive review and keep practicing.